Welcome to the FPL USA Press Play Podcast. Middle of the midweek 21 fixtures, but you got Bucks and Brian reporting for their usual content duties. What's up, best manager on the podcast? Oh, excuse me. Let me brush your shoulders off a little bit more. Is that some top 10K confetti that I see dusting in your beard a little bit? What is that, Brian?
We are flying high this season, Bucks. We are flying high. And hopefully I don't get sunk by Manchester United assets tomorrow too badly, but all things considered, I should be around the top 10K. So it's a pretty fucking chill vibe, let me tell you, around here. And to have transfers stacked up in the back pocket as well, all the chips, we're flying, baby. We're flying first class.
Yeah, tell the listeners, because you're in a totally different weather system than where I'm at around the 1 million rank. Where are you currently ranked? Yeah, well, you're touching the outer space limits, and I'm like in the liquid magma, like thousands of miles underground right now. That's how far apart we are. But tell the listeners where they can find you if they're checking their ranks or they're on FPL Game Week and they're looking for where you're at.
Yeah, so I'm at FPL USA Brian. You can find me on X and Blue Sky, but we are just cruising through the game week. Right now I'm on 82 points all out off of the back of the Isak masterclass performance. This guy, what a fucking gem he is. When healthy, he is such a stud. He can do it all. And right now he's playing like he's one of the best players in the world. Probably one of the best strikers right now in terms of form. He scored in 8 straight games. It's one of the longest streaks, up there with Jamie Vardy, Van Nistelrooy from Leicester, aka coaching Leicester and previously Manchester United. It's crazy what he's doing. So that double up between him and Gordon have really delivered the goods. Have a lot of value tied up in them. And mostly my luckiest thing that happened to me this game week was Robinson coming in, just conceding 3 goals and still getting 7 points for 2 phantom assists. Passes to Iobi, who crosses the ball in, and both times Raul misses them. And so he ends up with 7 points this game week for me, which outscores Hall and Munoz. So very, very lucky there. But
so
I did have yeah, definitely. Oh, the definition of jam right there. But with that being said, I did kill myself this week because with the news on João Pedro ahead of the deadline, I was like, I don't think he's going to play. Brighton have no reason to risk him. It's versus Ipswich. They're a floundering team, like mid-table. They just don't need to risk their talisman this week. So I decided to move Semenyo out and bring in Eze. Eze chips in with a 6-pointer, so appreciated. But Semenyo has his best game week of the year versus our Chelsea Blues. He puts up 12 points, draws a pen, and smashes home a wonderful goal. That one fucking hurt. I could feel it in my plums in the worst way. And hey, that's how it goes. But 82 points and hopefully staying in the top 10K before the game week ends.
Yeah, and what's your rank right now? I know we're midweek. We don't like to do the bad jujus, but what's the rank looking like?
7,021.
Wow, brilliant. Love that for you.
Not bad. Not bad.
So, listen, I think you just touched on it. Isak, he is the most informed player in European football right now.
Chris Wood, he's right up there too. Holy shit. Chris
Isak
Wood.
Has 15 goals in the last 15 matches. He had a triple return in game week 21 against Dan's Wolves. That might be why he's burrowed up and hiding away from the recording today. We expect him back. Yeah, we expect him back after game week 22 when we have the podcast derby. Chelsea not in great form, Wolves not in great form. So there will be a lot of banter and underhanded jokes come next week's episode. But the reason I bring that up is because I think the biggest decision going into this midweek was who to captain, who to give the armband to. And we did see for the first time in some time that perma cap on Salah really did go away for the most part in the FPL community. Now, Salah still was the most captained player. About 4 million managers captained him. but 2 million
Not
managers
not
captained
us though.
each.
Not us, baby.
Not us. That's right. Holland got 2 million captaincy responsibilities. Cole Palmer got 2 million or so. And then Alexander Isak, kind of the forgotten lad due to that phantom yellow flag, only had 1 million. And I think it's safe to say now that all four of them have played, we can take a little victory lap because Alexander Isak really delivered the goods in a big way. He had 3 returns, 2 goals, and 1 assist. And I think Palmer captainers can't feel too hard done. They did get 10 points, but
Could have
Salah
been
and
a lot
Holland
more.
both blank.
Could have been a lot more if your boy Nico Jackson
Oh.
finished a couple of his big chances, right?
And if the referee would have, actually put his monocle back in, I don't know what the hell was going on in that match.
Oh man, Chelsea, they're killing us this holiday season and extended run. It feels like they haven't won a match in fucking a month or two. Ugh.
They're trying to send my girls to a technical school. We're going to see, my oldest might be a plumber and my youngest might have to be a electrician at the rate things are going with the
Oh,
way
I
I'm
mean, nothing
gambling.
nothing wrong with those trades professions. They pay the bills. We need those
Yeah.
people to do those jobs. But yeah, you're not being able to afford your private school for your little girls in uppity Brooklyn right now.
Yeah, especially if I keep betting so heavily on the Chelsea Blues and they keep getting these draws and playing against 12 men. It's
Ugh.
shambolic right now in the Bucksbaum household. Let's leave my finances in the rearview mirror. Let's just talk quickly
Yeah,
on the
leave
biggest
that in the
sport.
rear view mirror along with your rank.
Oh, that's a low blow. Talk about the plums. You just went right for the crown jewels. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we'll dive into the biggest storylines so far in midweek 21 and also touch on kind of the matches to target and who you might be wanting to bring in with your transfers going into the weekend in game week 22.
And we are back. Let's just recap some of the heavy hitters in the FPL game. Man, Bucks, what a season. There are so many options at every price bracket, and yet a few of them are just continuing to deliver time and time again. Who would have guessed that at this point in the season that Chris fucking Wood, the Kiwi legend himself, a previous Burnley player for many years, would come to Nottingham Forest and just be very, very naughty. He dominates FPL right now. Another 9-pointer, 1-for-1 on the shots and attempts in the back of the net versus Allison, and a 1-1 draw for Forest in the championship/title race. Got to hand it to NFO, taking 4 out of 6 total points away from Liverpool this season.
Yeah, and big shout out to their fans at the City Ground because that was the shithousery moment of the weekend. They were singing the entire second half at Arnie Slot and the Liverpool bench, saying, Arnie, Arnie, we're in your head. It was brilliant. I loved seeing it and hearing it on the broadcast. And credit to Nottingham Forest. They are the real deal. I expect that they will finish in one of those 5 Champions League spots based on the way that Nuno Esperanto has them set up and
Super
going in
Ness.
confident to each game. Really brilliant from them. And we won't talk right here and hash it out. We'll wait till we're on the therapy couch together, Brian, or in a boxing ring, because I was all over Chris Wood at the beginning of the season. You talked me off him. And I haven't had him once all season, which might contribute to my woeful rank. He just keeps punishing me every single week. And another player,
I definitely talked you out of him for game week 1, but you have had a wild card and about 20 plus transfer opportunities to bring him in. So at some
that's
point,
on me now. You're saying
at some point, the blame has passed.
Yeah,
but,
that's fair.
I mean, it's crazy. The guy's only taking 2 shots per 90, yet he's just in a clinical position, and the whole attack is funneled to getting him some chances. And it was actually interesting to see him hit on the break because usually he's winded and he's not sprinting much, but this time he was actually ahead of the game and slots home a great left-footed finish. Just a crazy end of late career uptick in his performance for NFO and just in his general like history. I didn't think he was capable of this. Did you?
Definitely not. He has 13 goals already this season. He's in the top 5 goal scorers
He
in the
should end
entire
on 20
Premier League.
goals. He should end on 20 goals this season. If he's on pens too, he gets a few easy ones.
He's going to end up on
Insane.
more than that. This is going to be by far his career season. This is a dream season for Nottingham Forest. This is a team with very low expectations coming into the season. I think fans of theirs would have been happy with a 8th to 13th place finish. And right now, there's no reason they should not end up in one of the 5 Champions League spots with the coefficient that the Premier League's likely to get that extra spot.
And you have to shout out just the Matt Sells, like made a couple key stops, and their defense is just very solid. Like they don't
Yeah,
have the
Aina
best
too. He had that
athletes,
goal
but
line clearance. That was awesome.
yeah, Aina with the goal line clearance. Milenkovic is a beast in the air. This is like one of the few times they've conceded a set piece goal to Diogo Jota, who comes on the pitch for
That
maybe
was his
1 minute
first
and
touch
scores.
too. I saw that.
Yep.
Did you see that note?
Yeah, that's something that he's well known for. But let's transition to Liverpool a little bit. I
I
know
just want a
you
last
have
word on Nottingham Forest because I think it's important to note this is the sign of a really well-run club because 2 seasons ago they were rivaling Chelsea for the amount of transfers they made. They made 20 transfers in one summer window, if you could believe that. And yet they've gone down to brass tacks, bringing in Nuno. They have a very, very defined and clear strategy, play style, and everything is done with an eye on how they want to operate on the pitch. And I just think you got to give them a golf clap and credit because it's been a really brilliant turnaround from 2 seasons ago. And yeah, I think they are a legit team. And I think they could be a team that has pull from other leagues. You know, why, if you're in League Un and you're looking to be on an exciting counter-attacking team, Nottingham Forest should be a team that your agent is trying to get you to right now because there could be minutes, there could be talent upgrades throughout the squad, and especially if they're going to be playing twice next season, there's going to be a lot of minutes to go around there. So, yeah, really exciting times.
Yeah, and it's one of those seasons where I think when we saw Newcastle win Champions League promotion last year and just the effort that they're putting in to stay in that top 4 or 5 and make Champions League, like I expect them to drop off at some point, but they should compete for top 5
Agreed.
this year, even with a little dip in production. But they're really, especially in front of their home crowd, it's giving me a little bit of Newcastle of last year vibes when they're really putting that all out effort in the middle of the pitch in defense. Right, like some teams just are a little more lackadaisical and they let by goals, and this team just feels like they're putting in their full heart for the badge.
Yeah, so let's transition to Liverpool, who they went up against. Now, Liverpool were away, and I think they were the favorites, and they probably had the better chances. I think that's without question. Liverpool, they were really pressing for that winning goal in the last 15 minutes. Salah had a goal line clearance. He had another brilliant chance that he skied. So it wasn't Salah's best day, but I think when you look at the game and you look at the analytics coming out of the game, he had tons of chances. So it wasn't like Liverpool just did nothing and they were dominated and lucky to escape with a point. I think, on a different day, maybe if this was at Anfield, this ends 3-1 or 2-1 to Liverpool. But again, it's just, sometimes some points in the season, there's going to be a dip. And right now, Liverpool are a little bit in that dip right now. And like you said, before we transition, Brian, I'm fully expecting that Nottingham Forest, though they might pick up an injury or two and they'll be in their own dip at some point before the end of the season.
I'm just happy that we read this correctly in terms of captaincy. I know you and I were very far away from Mo, just watching a lot of matches and seeing how well oiled this Nottingham Forest team has been. So I think you and I were on Isak captain and Palmer vice
All
captain.
week, yep.
Exactly right. And we stuck to our guns. Even it's actually worked out way better in our favor that the small flag on Isak kind of pushed more folks away from him, so we could get more of those points versus the meta. But yeah, I think when you're looking at this Liverpool team, now they play Brentford away, Ipswich at home, Bournemouth away, Everton away, Wolves at home. They got the double game week. It's a
Yeah,
good
they had
run. So
that
it's a
double.
get right. It's a get right run. So, I mean, how many times have we even seen Mo blank this season? Is this his third?
This is
This
his
is only
first
his
blank since
it's
game
only
week
his third
7,
time.
Brian.
I know, but only his third time all year in 21 matches in the Prem. What timing?
Yeah, we picked a good time to fade Salah as captain. And again, I think just Liverpool will be getting lots more points. They are still the clear favorites to win the Premier League this season.
For
And
sure.
they're also pretty high up there in favorites to win the Champions League this season as well. All right, let's talk about the hottest team in the Premier League. That is Newcastle. Now, we've already given flowers to Alexander Isak. He had a triple return today against Wolves, 2 goals, an assist, 3 bonus points, 16 FPL points. That's 32 points for those bold enough to captain him. But I think where managers are getting rank rise from Newcastle is going beyond Alexander Isak, because at this point he
That's
is
right.
very popularly owned. And I'm tripled up. I have Gordon and Lewis Hall as well. Lewis Hall has been a brilliant pick for me in the last maybe 10 game weeks. He's really delivered.
Yeah. He
And
is a player
Gordon,
that I covet, and I have not made the move to him. And just every week I expect him to either chip in with an assist or get a clean sheet the way that Newcastle's playing. So that has been one of your bright spots that I have not mimicked to my
but you
detriment.
have Robinson, and Robinson I think has like 9 FPL assists this season, which is just a crazy
True.
stat. But I think right now Newcastle are a team that you need to ride. Now, all honesty, they're most likely going to have a blank game week in 29, but that's way long from now. And with the fixtures and the form that they're in, I think we just try and gobble up as many FPL points as possible with this run. I think Jacob Murphy should be on the menu. Lewis Hall should be on the menu. Maybe if you want to be differential and go double defense, maybe you get Botman, who's now back fit. I expect he'll be a nailed on starter. So there's just lots of avenues to get FPL points from Newcastle. And they look like they're going to also be comfortably a top 4 finisher this season based on the form they're in right now, as long as Isak can stay fit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And their next 3 fixtures, they have 2 home matches, which is whenever you see them playing in front of their home crowd, you just expect them to hang at least 2 goals and get the momentum behind them. So Bournemouth at home, Southampton away, Fulham at home in the next 3. If you don't own one lad in Anthony Gordon, I think it's time to probably bring him in. He's not shown us his explosive nature, and he was pretty shit. You and I commented in some of our group chats. The first 30 minutes, I was like, nah, his touch is off. He's missing some passes.
I
He's
thought he
not
could
having a
get
big go of it.
yanked at 60 minutes. He was so bad.
Yeah, and then he crops up with a goal and gets 1 bonus point, and then he's on a 9-pointer, and that's huge for us who have him in our side. So everything's just fucking roses right now for Newcastle.
All right, let's go to the biggest match of this game week, which was the North London Derby. And London stays red for another year. Arsenal come back. I think this was one of the most Spursy North London derbies in recent memory. Spurs jump out against the run of play. Son gets a deflected goal off Saliba into the back of the net, crushes the Arsenal clean sheet. I loved every second of that. And within like 5 minutes,
and you own a defender too, but since you're not doubled up, it actually doesn't. It's better for them to blank. That's a crazy situation to be in.
It's a crazy like shoot yourself in the foot to spite your face kind of thing, or cut your nose off to spite your face. I think if I shot myself in the foot, I wouldn't get too much slower based on my current physique and age. But
you're not over the hill yet. You're not over the hill yet. You got some running left in those legs.
I got some burst left in me for the time being. But Gabriel is he's an attacking option from defense with the way that Arsenal take set pieces. I thought that was a headed goal that should have stood for FPL points. Fuck the own goal. Give us the points, FPL Towers, you crook.
Yeah. So what happened? So he heads the ball. It goes off of Dragusin, whatever the fuck his name is, and then it goes off of Solanke into the goal. It's like, how is that not 3 points in FPL? So frustrating.
It's
And then he
so
gets a yellow
silly.
card.
And
So
then
he,
they
he ends up
gave
on
it.
he ends up on 1 point for this match. It's just like, nah, he's one of the better players.
I think cruel that he didn't get bonus points. He was honestly he was everywhere. I thought he was the most likely player at points to get a goal from either team based on the way the match was going.
Yeah. Well, I think elsewhere, this is a good win for Arsenal. They've been stumbling around a little bit. Jesus confirmed torn ACL. He's out for the season. They might be looking at Nico Williams out of La Liga to potentially join in the January transfer window.
Oh,
They
they
have
need a
some work to do.
9. They need a striker. I don't understand the Nico Williams news at all. He's going to be very expensive. I heard they were in for Danny Olmo if they can't register him at Barcelona.
These idiots
Those
in
moves don't make
Barcelona. These accounting idiots. What are they doing? They're taking a siesta. They can't figure out the fucking new signings that they bring in to pay them and register them.
Chelsea
Idiots.
took all the available quants and spreadsheet nerds. So Barcelona can't find any.
All right. Well, yeah, I think Arsenal, they're in an interesting pattern. I mean, I will be moving off of the double Arsenal defense very soon, likely to replace Raya with a double game week keeper. Not the sexiest thing in the world, but just based on my team structure and kind of what I'm looking at, it probably makes sense. But you don't, man, after the first 5 game weeks, Raya had all those save points, all those double digit hauls, the bonus, and it just has not been very good since
Can I tell you,
him in.
He only has 7 clean sheets on the season. Now, the way we've spoken about Arsenal,
1 and 3.
I think I still feel the same way. I still think that they're, if not the best defense, they're one of the best 3 defenses. To only have 7 clean sheets, that seems criminal. He's stealing points out of our pocket.
The attacking prowess across the league, though. There's not teams that just park the bus like
stop it with your complimenting. That's nonsense. Get out of here. They should be more solid. They're literally cheating. They're time wasting.
We would kill for Chelsea to have 7 clean sheets. Jesus.
All right. Calm down over there. Let's close with the last match that I want to talk about, which was double up. Chelsea and Man City. They both are ahead in their matches, and they both end up with 2-2 draws. Now, standout youngsters Phil Foden and Cole Palmer, they were doing the business for City and for Chelsea respectfully, but they get outdone and pipped. Yohan Wissa becomes the greatest ever goal scorer in the history of forwards at Brentford. He's now 1 up on, I bet a lot of games, Tony, 27-26.
That's interesting.
So credit to Wissa there. And
I guess they haven't been up too long, but yeah.
Yeah, and then Semenyo, what a stunner of a performance. That goal he scored off his left foot near post.
Damn it.
Oh, that hit me right in the pocketbook.
I mean, I've had him since game week 6 wildcard. So I've literally had this man in my side for 15 fucking weeks. And the 1 week that I'm like, oh man, JP is hurt. I don't really trust him again at Chelsea, at the Bridge. No strikers, which have been playing like just good overall football for Bournemouth this season in Evan Ilson. And he just slots in and does the fucking business. It's just so FPL to transfer out a 12-pointer. Oh, God, I'm still reeling from that. Plus, obviously, Chelsea are up 1-0, and then they fucking blow all their chances in the first half. And then they very fortunately
3-0 at halftime.
Yeah,
yep.
Exactly. And then, refs miss a few calls, and then all of a sudden we're down 2-1, and we get very fortunate 1 point out of that fucking match because Reece James scores his first goal in 2 years. So just bizarre match for sure.
Brian, before we transition to talk on game week 22 and the matches to come on the weekend, what do you think? Semenyo now playing false 9. Is he someone you might consider bringing back in? What's your feeling there?
Not for this upcoming run. The next 3 fixtures are tough, and that's one of the reasons why I dropped him. They're away at Newcastle, home versus NFO, and then home versus Liverpool. So very, very difficult fixtures. But then in 25, Southampton, Wolves, Brighton, Tottenham, Brentford, Ipswich in the next 6 after that. So there's a opportunity to just see how these teams settle in without their striker and see if Semenyo continues to play up top. Kluivert doesn't start the game, but comes in and bags his penalty as well. He's got 4 or 5 pens, good pen taker, under 5.5 million. So there are a few options, but yeah, just transferred out a 12-pointer. You fucking hate to see it. Like if
Nah.
I started him, I'd be flying even more. It's crazy
Leave
that.
some points for the listeners and for the rest of your co-hosts, for the rest of the
Yeah.
FPL community. Brian, you're getting greedy over there. With
I
that,
mean, it's just funny, like when you have very little control over the moves that you make and the players that score you points to transfer out 12 points, just like an idiot. But okay,
it's an
I'm
important
done with that.
reminder, how much of the game is luck, because like you said,
Luck and
Semenyo,
patience. I think that was something that I had fucking stuck to my guns with about on Bumo, and then on paper, Semenyo was always a good option. He could play up top, and anyway, is what it is. Just the cruel mistress
shooting
of
like a
FPL.
madman. He's second in the league for shots behind Mo Salah. Isn't that crazy?
Very few of them go in the back of the net, but he's a high volume player. He's like you and I in the basketball court these days.
Hey, I like to think that more of my shots go in, so I will not take that slander from you, old man.
Thank God
Let's
nobody's
go.
keeping. Thank God Opta's not there taking stats.
Oh, my the guy who runs my weekly game actually just created an app to track stats using computer vision. So I'll have to send it out to you guys in
Rich
California.
league you got there out in New York City.
Nah, he brings an iPad. It's a janky setup. We started it last week. Let's see if it keeps working or if it's back to the drawing board.
I'll see if you make my watch list next week to transfer in.
Fair. I'm priced pretty to buy right now. 4.9 million. With that, let's fast forward to the best matches to target this weekend in game week 22. Now, I think let's start with the down bad Saints. Southampton traveled to the City Ground for their. I think it's time for them to get their confessional in this match. I think Nottingham Forest have their way with the choir boy Saints, and it's 2-0 within the first 30 minutes. I think this is an easy clean sheet, easy victory for Forest.
Yeah, 3-0 is my final prediction here. They're just riding high. I think Wood gets 1 goal. I think this is a Cho game. Callum Hudson-Odoi comes in with a 10-pointer in this one.
Wow. Okay. I like it. Next up, City traveling to face the Tractor Boys of Ipswich. Now, Ipswich are one of the teams we haven't seen play yet. We also haven't seen Southampton play in game week 21. So notably, these are some of the later matches in game week 22. But I think there's a lot of points to be had if you are willing to get back and invest early on the City lads. Foden and Holland seem to now be rounding into better form. So interesting to see if you're at all City curious.
I think Phil Foden is a player in the next 3 game weeks. I mean, they have this easy fixture versus Ipswich, but then they have a tough run: Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham.
Yeah,
Tottenham's not hard, but
Chelsea's
those 4
not so
fixtures,
hard either. But
once they get out of game week 26 and they play Liverpool at home, they're going to be very popular assets, especially with the horizon of the blank game week in 29, where they're going to have, we're expecting Newcastle and Liverpool will probably blank. There are going to be a lot of people who use their free hit chip and activate and just go balls to the wall, Holland, Savinho, Foden, and in that game week 29 matchup that they will have versus Brighton at home. So just some things to keep in mind down the line. I'm not breaking the bank for their assets because they're too expensive right now, but you want to see them back in the mix, so it at least gives some more variance in terms of play style.
what do you think? Do you think City get back into the clean sheets in this one? 2-1 or 2-1? That's what I think.
3-1.
Okay. Last but not least, we do want to give spotlight to the podcast derby. Wolves traveling to Stamford Bridge to take their medicine. Now, Chelsea already had to travel up to Wolverhampton earlier this season. But now Wolves get to have a nice holiday in London. Are they going to be celebrating the same way Chelsea was on their away day?
It's so funny whenever one of us misses the pod, we always take cheap shots at Dano when he's not here.
Yeah, we're brothers in banter.
Yep, that's right. I expect Chelsea to hang. I mean, watching Wolves today, I think Wolves are good for a goal, though. Like they Strand Larson had a few good attacking options, and he's a young talent for them. But I think this is 3-1 to Chelsea. It's open enough where Chelsea should be scoring multiple goals here. So Cole Palmer, especially based on his last performance, he's a captaincy shout, and we're gonna talk about that later.
Yeah, love it. I also have 3-1. Let's go to the best matches to target if you're just a sicko who loves Premier League football, or just, you want to catch a match to show to your better half or your friends what the
I mean,
sport is all about.
these matches we have on the docket right here they're good for FPL too. I think there's a lot of goals to be had.
Okay, I'm not sure I see it that same way. I'm starting with Bournemouth at Newcastle. These are two of the hottest teams in the Prem right now, and we talked about Newcastle's home form, so I think they have enough. I think this is 2-1 to the home side.
I like a crazy 3-2 here.
Oh, so
I
that's why
thought
you're.
Bournemouth were very open. If Jackson got his fucking head out of his ass, he should have had a brace and at least 15 points in FPL. Palmer would have had 16 plus points. I don't
Maybe,
know.
maybe.
I think they're Bournemouth are a team that can play up to the level of their opponent and try and grind out some results. So good to have the Cherries just in form. But Newcastle at home, I mean, what's not to love? What's not to
Yeah,
love?
so
And
you think
Isak
it's 3-2 to the hosts. I guess you've swayed me. 3-1 to Newcastle. I think they keep the surge going.
at
Next up.
home, I expect all their assets to bag, right? Like I don't know. I just see it that way with given their form and where they're at right now.
I mean, one of these matches, Isak will eventually blank. That's just the nature of the sport. But maybe it's not
Gonna
this
be at
one.
home.
I don't think it's going to be this one.
Helps to be on pens too. You get a cheeky pen from a Kirkez fuck up, who knows? We'll see. All right, Liverpool at Brentford. More goals. I see this as a get right game for Liverpool away. 2-1
2-1, you said?
for Liverpool. That's right.
Oh, I have a totally different read on this. I think it's going to be 2-2. I think the hosts
Not bad.
actually are the ones in the driver's seat for most of this, and Liverpool work a little bit of their late game magic, and they pull it back and earn the well-deserved point. Brentford are plucky, especially at the G-Tech, so that is not an easy away day by any means. Last but not least.
Vissa is on my watch list for sure. I think
Oh,
he is a
same,
great
especially with
route
this
in.
João Pedro fraud.
6.2 million after they play Liverpool at home. Crystal Palace, Tottenham, West Ham, Leicester, Everton, Villa, Bournemouth. It's a good run coming up for Bumo owners and for Vissa owners. And Vissa's getting all the big chances. So somebody
And the
to
bonus.
definitely keep in mind. Yeah, that's right. All right, lastly, Villa. What to make of the villains? Who knows? They're playing at Arsenal. Arsenal are fortunate to get another home match here. This probably reads 2-1 once again.
To the home team?
I have to lean to the home team, yeah.
I think Emery plays Arsenal tough because he's all about
revenge game. Revenge
it's all
of
about
Unai.
Yeah, this is a very different philosophy because Villa and Emery, they're all about through the middle and dominating the middle of the pitch. Arsenal want to get wide, but without Saka, they don't have that same creativity anymore. I think this is 1-1. I think this is kind of a classic stalemate from the touchline, and we see a lot of shithousery and a lot of time wasting from both teams in this match.
All right. And that's a wrap for this segment. We're going to take a quick break and come back with our hashtag FPL community questions.
And we're back. Let's dive into the mailbag to answer your listener questions. Brian, who's first?
Yo, drop me off some mail. Write me in a question. We got at FPL Paz. He wants to know about forwards. We actually have a couple questions there from Paz. He wants to know Wood or Mateta going forward, and then at Hella_FPL, a fellow Brian that I've met in San Francisco area. He wants to know Watkins or Solanke. So lots of people shopping for forwards. So I think we should just rank, if we were on wildcard right now, who our top 3 forwards would be. I'll let you start, Bucks.
Yeah, I think pretty cut and dry for me. It would be Isak. It would be Wood, and it would be Vissa. Easy peasy. Just pick those three, set and forget for the next 10 game weeks.
And it's pretty budget friendly. I mean,
Yeah.
Visa 6.2, he's going to rise coming up. You might build some value there. Wood, second most owned forward in the game.
Not by me.
I mean, not by you yet, Bucks. Yet we're going to get the transfer
Fucking
plans
idiot.
and captaincy shouts
Bucks.
later. But I mean, it's a great entry point for Wood as well, playing at home versus Southampton. So, and then have Ipswich not Ipswich. They have, their fixtures are mixed after that, but Wood is just in form. So I like it. Watkins is a player differential. So if you're looking to possibly make up some points, came up with a 9-pointer today. Another assist for Morgan Rogers, the underpriced legend. He continues to bag. Man, all the mid-price assets just chipping in the points today, right? You could have Sarr, Eze, you could have Rogers, Semenyo, probably Ahmad tomorrow is going to probably get at least a goal or assist. So the mid-price assets are really helping make this a fun season because of the variety. So
unless you have Bergvall as your 8th attacker, like some dummies.
Yeah, you don't get points for FA Cup goals, right?
Yeah, or for
or
red
Carabao
cards
Cup,
that were not seen. Yeah, exactly. Next question. Who's up?
Oh, we got our friends down under at FPL SideNet. They're a fun podcast. They oh man, you gotta check these guys out sometime, Bucks. There's some good lads down under, and they got the Australian banter on their show. They want to know, talk to me about Nico Jackson, and I believe Andrew is one of their hosts, and he's a big Chelsea fan. Is it time to stick or twist with Nico Jackson? Looks great. So many opportunities to score, but the goals have dried up. So I believe you are a Nick Jackson pain enthusiast. How's that going for you?
Yeah, not great. I don't think he scored a goal in 8 game weeks, which is brutal considering the form that he was in leading up to that. I enjoyed all the points he was giving me as Cunha owners were running all the way to the bank, and it's gone sour. I think the issue is if you watch the games, I mean, he just has so many avenues to points. It really looked like he was on for a 13-pointer the way those first 15 minutes of the Chelsea-Bournemouth match went. He had that brilliant play where he dribbled through 3 Bournemouth defenders, played it in perfectly to Cole Palmer, who slots it home. And then he had chance after chance. I think he had 1.2 XG, which is expected goals. So he had like 2 or 3 big chances. He just didn't deliver them. So that's frustrating. And of course, Chelsea are punished in the points department too, because he's not bagging his chances. So I think give him one more game. Now, Wolves are a get right against defense. So
that's right.
Before they have the away trip to the Etihad is a better place to exit. I would just be hesitant to move Jackson on before Wolves. Now, of course, if you have no other way to get to Chris Wood, one's in massive form and the other isn't, but one of them's getting a lot of chances. And I think that's just the balancing act that you're trying to, make sure you're on the right side of, because Chris Wood, like you said, he's getting 1 shot a game, whereas Jackson's getting 4 or 5 good chances each and every match to get FPL points.
With that being said, he's really expensive, man. What is he? 8.1, 8.2? Like that's a lot of dosh for a player who's underperforming. So I think when you're looking at investing like 18 million, 19 million between your 2 Chelsea attackers, that's a lot of your total budget. So, I think it'd be a little different if Jackson was on pens and could get a freebie that would get him going and his momentum going again. But yeah, I rate what you're saying. Hold him for this game for the patience. Wolves will concede 3 goals, and then it's time to exit out of there. A lot of people could make an easy move to Gakpo potentially for the double game week. We're going to focus more on that in upcoming fixtures, but Liverpool's assets are fucking just a pyramid of destruction. I'm not quite sure who slots in where and how they fall into place, but there are exit routes. So hold for this week and then reassess after. All right, next question is about Liverpool, and that's from at FPL Masala, aka Nihal. He wants to know, is Diaz still a hold? Oh my goodness, Bucks. You're a Diaz owner too. No wonder you're suffering so much lately.
Yeah, I almost rage transferred him out yesterday evening. I kept the patience. I think, unfortunately, if you are already tripled up on Liverpool, if you're like me, if you have Salah, Diaz, and Trent, just as an example, you've kind of made your bed. Now you just got to lay in it until the double game week. The double game week is in 25. I expect we'll probably have another frustrating one or two Diaz matches. That's
Game week
just the kind of
24.
player he
Game
is.
week 24 is the double. So it's only a
Excuse me.
few game weeks away.
Yeah, so I think there's probably another one or two pointer in there where he gets the hook at like 65 minutes. But I'm also expecting there's at least one double digit haul where he gets a double return. And that's just the kind of player that you bought. And you knew that when you purchased him. He's just a very streaky, kind of high upside talent. And yeah, I think no reason to sell him because then you're going to be buying another Liverpool player so that you have that triple up for the double
Exactly.
game week. So it's too
Yeah,
many
you
free
just
transfers, too much value that you're sending out the door just to remove a pretty good FPL player.
Yeah, obviously the minutes were always a risk, and you were taking that on when you brought him in. And, it was kind of better for me that I was so scarred by bringing him in on my game week 6 wild card that I stayed very far fucking away from bringing him in most recently when he bagged his big, double digit haul. But Brentford, Ipswich, Bournemouth, Everton, Wolves. Oof, there are a lot of goals for Liverpool coming up. And I think, like you said, if you have him, hold and play
Yeah,
him
and
in the double
start him.
game week.
You have to start
Yeah,
him.
you have to start him. And then, but if you're looking to buy a Liverpool asset, I would not buy until the double. Like I want to be as concise as possible as I can be on the potential minutes that these lads are going to play. So it's definitely tricky. And
Yeah,
then
I
Nihal
think
had another question.
Allison and Gakpo look like the better investments as your third Liverpool player at this point in time.
Yeah, Van Dijk's probably in there as well with a lot of people
Too
moving off of
expensive.
double. Yeah, but it's a easy move from Gabriel to him, so he'll be
Eh.
popular as well. Um, Nihal also asks a meta question: what are your current strategies for chip season? We're going to talk about that in a couple game weeks here when we get closer to the double. So we're going to park
Yeah,
that
we
for
need to
now.
use the ass man chip first, Nihal. Calm down. I know you're a tits man, but come on, we got to give some credit to the people who
Oh
like big
goodness.
booties.
Oh goodness. All right. Last question is from at FPL_Hunt, aka Connor, one of the best hashtag FPL USA managers out there.
Oh,
This
stop
guy's
it.
got
Stop it. He's fine.
oh
He's fine.
yeah, you pull up that rank history and you might say otherwise. Oh my goodness, this guy's got 3 top 11K finishers. So Connor wants to know, what the fuck am I doing here, bro? He's got 5 free transfers. Wow. I mean, he's sitting at like 50K overall and 5 frees. You take a look at his team on the X. Backline is Lewis, Mazraoui, Dunk. Yeah, not the greatest. So elsewhere though, I don't know. His team is like it's very much like a make a one move and roll. He's got Luis Diaz, Gordon, Palmer, Mo Salah, and Rogers. Looks great. Isak, Wood, João Pedro, same front line as me. I mean, if you're gonna keep Diaz for the double and not play the ass man, I probably think you just make one defensive transfer and roll, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I think maybe think about moving Rico Lewis to an Everton defender or just going, keeping it cheap. If he has any additional funds, maybe he gets Jedi in. Again, just kind of the Rico Lewis hype train is over. I'm also a Rico Lewis owner. He's a player that will not be in my team in a couple of game weeks' time. So I think he's, of the names you listed, him and Lewis Dunk, I think I heard also. Those are the two
Yeah.
priority names that kind of jump
Yeah,
out.
he's got 0.0 in the bank, so it's a little bit tricky. You could start to free up funds by going Raya to Pickford
I was going to say
potentially
Raya
and
to
prepare.
Pickford and maybe
And then you have
Rico Lewis to Tarkowski. I like that.
or Hall. I think
Yeah.
Hall is a definite shout as well. So Connor knows what he's doing. He's just going to consult the machines and the analyticos on FPL review and figure it out. But he needs to make 1 or 2 transfers because he's got to 5. I will be at 4 after this game week, I think,
I'm going
because
to be at 4 as well. Let's go.
oh
That's a perfect
really
transition.
Let's do it.
Perfect
Let's
transition.
transition.
Let's go to transfer plans and captaincy shouts, and then let's get the hell out of here, Brian. I got basketball to run to. What's your plan going into game week 22?
The beauty of the midweek fixtures is that you only have a couple days to make decisions, and it feels so good to just roll. I think for my team, I'm going to have 3 frees. My main decision is whether to play Eze away at West Ham or play João Pedro away at Manchester United. We'll see what JP does tomorrow if he comes off the bench. If he's in the squad, he was pictured in training. But I think I'm going to bench him versus Manchester United. I think their defense has been like half decent, and West Ham was wide open versus Fulham, like 5-goal total performance, wide open. Could have conceded more. So I feel like Eze is good for at least an assist, maybe a goal versus West Ham. So easy roll for me. I'm going to play Jedi at home versus Leicester, have 4 free transfers, and keep it moving.
Yeah, I'm also looking to roll. Right now, my bus team has the
You're
captain's
looking to
armband.
roll? Mate, you were texting me yesterday a little bit on tilt. You're like, should I make these transfers before 5:30 Pacific? Like just trying to like rage quit some guys out of your team. But I'm proud of you. You held it down.
That's what, prepping for this podcast often can put you more on edge, or it could really have you take a couple steps back. And in prepping today, I just realized that the urgency, I really need to climb rank in the upcoming double game week and chip season. Now, trying to go from 1 million to 500 to 100K in one game week by just being aggressive now is going to hurt me in a couple game weeks time when everyone has lots of transfers, when I need to plan for the ass man. So patience is a priority right now in my team. And I'm fortunate that I have Rico Lewis as bench cover. So yeah, he'll just be my first bench.
Although he didn't play this week.
which means that he's for sure going to play on the weekend. I think
Probably,
pretty safe to assume that. So I'm going to stick strong with João Pedro once again. He probably is not going to feature in the midweek. I don't expect that he'll play in game week 22 either. That being said, I have Rico Lewis, so I will have hopefully at least 11 fit and starting players. And again, I'm going to be captaining Palmer. I got the absolute jammiest of hauls from Isak as my captain in 21. Now I'm going to put all my chips into the podcast Derby, the FPL USA Press Play Derby, which is Chelsea hosting Wolves. And I'm going to put the armband where my heart and my pocketbook are, on Palmer.
All right. I like it.
Who's your captain, Brian?
Oh man, captaincy is it's way up in the air for me. I
come on, you fence sitter. You're being too much like Black Wolf.
I mean, I think it's easy to go with Palmer after we just saw what Newcastle did to the little pups over there. So that's definitely weighing on my mind. I think the captaincy, man. I mean, I think Isak, Salah, and Palmer should get a spread of the shares this week. It really is like pretty solid for them
too. I think it's going to be another kind of 4-way split this game week,
which I prefer. It's gives a little bit more variance. Like I was getting sick of the perma cap on Salah, so I'm actually very much undecided. I got to spend a little bit more time, but I was looking at and the reason I've been having such a good season, I've like hit a lot of like big captaincy hauls. Especially going against the field. I had Saka for 32 points earlier in the season. I just got this Isak one. So those have really helped push me into the top 10K. So gonna spend a little bit more time and not quite decide right now, but it should be a good spread and a good mix of players. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, love it. All right, I think that's a podcast. We'll have this up tomorrow, which is
long. We went long. You're like, I got to go to basketball, and you and I are just like, we still got to talk.
Tying my shoes.
Talk FPL.
I'm tying my shoes as I'm trying to do the wrap up. But this is a great podcast. I'm Bucks. You can find me on social, on Blue Sky, on X, at FPL USA Bucks. That's BUX. For my podcast co-host who's having the dream season, a la Chris Wood at Nottingham Forest, that's Fingers the Woodman himself, at FPL USA Brian. That's spelled Brian as opposed to evil Brian and Bomo, who has a Y.
Yeah, man. Evil Brian had 2 goals just chalked off the line this past weekend versus City. That was pissing me off. But yes, you can find me at FPL USA. Brian, thanks for following the pod. And man, I'm starting to, I don't want to jinx it, but the I'm getting Leicester vibes of 2015 or whenever the fuck they won the title. Like I have all my
Your
chips intact.
ultimate self jinx incoming with that statement. Our third host is Dan. He'll be back next week at FPL_Blackwolf. He's a Wolves in the know and one of the leaders in the hashtag FPL USA and the overall hashtag FPL community. With that, we are at FPL USA Press Play. Thank you for tuning in. We love our listeners engaging with us on socials, submitting questions for the podcast, and just being so generous with your time to listen. So all love and green arrows in game week 21 and game week 22 to come. Thanks, everyone.